Hi, this is Sergeant Beast Larson. Today I'm going to discuss one of the police shootings I reviewed when I was on the department. Been through a lot of training, defensive tactics instructor, many use of force, and I was asked, I reviewed 5 police shootings. This is one of them. Before I get started, just a couple things really quick. If you haven't subscribed already to the channel, please hit the red button, subscribe. We've got over 200 videos now. We talk about many things. Correction officer's life, defensive tactics, several in a use of force series, a CO life, where I compare working in a prison to working in a county level jail detention center. A couple of my use of force videos, highlights, use of force basics 101, use of force, explaining use of force and a hit 'em back first theory. For correction officers, spontaneous versus planned use of force. It seemed to me working in a prison after retiring from police, my idea of spontaneous didn't always coincide with the warden's idea. We butted heads a little bit on that. I'm explaining some things and the legalities of it and how I won that conversation. And also how to avoid being sued using force. And how to avoid using sued, I need these 2 score sheets to explain this scenario here real quick today. To use force in self-defense, you have to be able to prove the the person's intent to harm you, opportunity, and ability / jeopardy, depending on where you are, use different words. What gets you sued is if you violate your policy, you violate the criminal law or their civil rights. So having said that, we're going to go through this pretty quickly. It's pretty cut and dry, but I'm going to hold these up as I go through this scenario. Okay? This is a parking lot. This is a corner of the parking lot. Curb down here. This scenario is 2 undercover officers, officer, the O's, plain clothes. They're going to do a buy bust, they call it. They're met 2 subjects, a male and a female, in a parking lot. And what they were doing, I believe they were buying 2 pounds of marijuana. And the goal was to have it displayed to them, pull their identification out, tell them, police, you're under arrest. It was in the ops plan. They were not going to pursue physically. They were waiting for uniforms to come and make an arrest if they didn't immediately give up themselves. Okay? Suspects come in, park a car right here, male and a female, exit the car. They meet, have a conversation in the middle, right around in here. 2 plainclothes officers, 2 suspects. Plainclothes officers' vehicles were out of sight in a way to not scare anybody. The regular unmarked police detective looking cars that you can spot from a mile away. So they have a conversation. The 2 suspects display the drugs, display the marijuana. The officers say, okay, we're police, officer so-and-so, whatever the word they said. You're under arrest. The male and female said, nope. They run, jump in the car. They had to make a decision. They decided, the male driver, to back up this way. They were going to drive, go around this parking row up here and make their escape, their getaway. Why he didn't back up this way and go out this way, he never stated. So they back up, they start to drive this way. Okay, the car is right here. We're going to talk about this car being right here, the officers being right here. Almost in a straight line. I'm not an artist. It's not to scale, just a quick drawing. The car is headed towards the officers directly. And the officers testified, speeds 5 to 10 miles an hour. It wasn't excessive, but it was what you would accelerate to try and get away from police, and make this quick turn. They were almost at the end of the row. So, looking at this picture, car headed towards the officers. Was their intent to harm them? They can argue that. The car is driving straight at us. Yes. Was there opportunity? Yeah, the car is moving. It's going forward. It's accelerating. Was there ability? Was the ability a jeopardy? Yes. They had the ability because they started the car and made the car move. They backed up and drove forward. So, for this part of the argument, looking at this car and the 2 officers, and the one was directly in front of it, had they drove straight to the officers, they would have hit one, if not both. At this point, there's intent, opportunity, and ability, yes. Nobody argues, nobody disagrees. At this point, did they violate the officers any of their policy? No. Their policy, they went, they investigated, they made a statement, they were displayed drugs, they made the announcement that they were under arrest. That's all by policy, so that's good. Have they violated criminal law? No, because this is how you do that. Did they violate civil rights? No. Okay, let's go back to our picture. This was an officer-involved shooting. They both fired at the vehicle. Policy says you shoot center mass until the threat stops. If they're in a car, the use of force will be directed to the driver who's in control of the car. They would have shot to the driver through the front windshield to the center mass of the driver. If they would have shot that at this moment right here, take this car out down here, from here, shoot straight on, arguing this, explaining this, would have been justified. However, this car is on an angle, and I wrote 80 degrees down here. Now, I'm not a math wizard, but to go straight down, I'm going to do this on the side. Straight down and straight over right here, this is a 90-degree angle. Am I correct? Yes. This is a little bit of angle. I wrote 80 degrees. This vehicle was almost 80 degrees. See where the pin's going right here? It's not quite marking dark enough. Let me make big circle right here. Okay, this big dark circle, imagine this is the corner of the vehicle where the tire is. The officers did not shoot center mass at the driver back here, explaining their fear, their life was in danger, intent, opportunity, and ability. As the vehicle made a turn, it was 80 degrees, approximately 80 degrees. The one shot at the tire, the supervisor was there. He shot at the rear tire, told the other officer to shoot at the tire, called him by name and said, shoot the back tire out. They both shot at the tire in a parking lot. Other people up here behind here, would be off camera. As this vehicle did not hit the tire did not blow. The vehicle continues, goes, and gets caught a couple miles away by the uniformed officers, which was the plan if there was an escape. So imagining this going right here. The vehicle, as this is 90 degrees and continuing forward, meaning this way, just like my pen is pointing like this, and the officers are here. Now, here's the question. This is where this comes into. Is this a justified shooting or not? Going straight at the officers, justified, yes. They're in fear for their life. Having made the turn at 80 degrees, not going straight, the vehicle, no way, it's not going to roll over 5 to 10 miles an hour. So now there is no threat. Now there is no intent, is there? No. Draw a line through intent. Do they have the opportunity? No. Because the vehicle is not facing them anymore. It's 80 degrees on an angle. Do they have the ability and the jeopardy? No. None of these three things are present. All three have to be. None of them are. Because the vehicle is on an 80-degree angle to drive away. There's no intention to harm them at this point. Did they violate the policy? Policy, shoot center mass until the threat stops. Did they shoot center mass? The policy also states no warning shots. Did they shoot center mass? No. I'm going to put an X. Did they fire warning shots? They shot at the tire, not at the person. That was considered a warning shot. 2 strikes against them. Did they violate criminal law? Since there was no intent, opportunity, and ability there, by firing at them, it's not justified self-defense. That violates the criminal law. Yes, I'll put an X over here by that. Sorry, I'm trying to keep this paper up for you to see this. Did they violate their civil right? Well, there's a law in this state called wanton endangerment. And that's when you wantonly, there's also reckless, but wantonly. Reckless is things that are out of your control. If you've been drunk, you're driving home, you get involved in a wreck, you didn't intend on that happen. You were just completely being reckless the whole period of time. Wanton means you're doing things knowingly that's going to cause great risk of injury or death to somebody. So they wantonly fired their service revolver in the direction of a car. Remember up here, not center mass, warning shot. There was no threat to their life anymore, so that's criminal. They violate their civil rights, put an X here, yes. Because they put them in unlawful harm of serious injury or death because they were not trying to run them over and kill the officers. So the firearms instructor and myself reviewed this. We both came to the same conclusion, wrote a report, looked at the report, talked to each other about it, and we both checked these off identically. We both marked through this identically. These were not present. All three of these were violated. You only have to violate one of these to get sued. Was that a good shoot? I'm sorry. And it was very hard. The other police shootings that I've evaluated and reviewed were all good shoots. They were justified. That's what good shoot means. This one was not justified. And I had to write a negative report. I've made a video about the life of being a defensive tactics instructor and use of force expert. It's hard because there may come a time where you have to say no. And I just happen to personally know these two officers involved, but it's my job as an instructor and use of force expert to put professional opinion on paper, regardless who the officer was. I put it on paper. The range officer put it on paper. We said this was not a good shoot. Can't apologize for that. We're responsible for ourselves, our firearms or our bullets. Firearm safety, know your target and what's behind it. Don't point your gun at somebody unless you intend on using it. Follow your basic rules of firearm. Shooting center mass, no warning shots, etc., etc. So this is something I've been involved with in a part of my career. Want to share this with everybody. Don't forget to check these videos out. Use of Force Basics 101 and the Hit 'em Back First theory is another one. Spontaneous versus planned use of force, like cell extractions. How to avoid being sued. These are great videos. I've put hours that I've poured this knowledge into this. Hope you liked it. Hit the share button. Don't forget to subscribe. We've got some more shooting video conversations to have. See you soon.